But what other experience you got with that decision making, that flip-flopping? What else causes that sort of stuff?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, not only can you weather the tsunami, if you will, you may not get one.
Yes.
So when I think about Patagonia, again, a really prime example of just such a mission-led organization, they recently just said, like, we're not doing that well around racial equity, and we need to do better around that. That's amazing. I mean, literally, who's criticizing them? People have such a sense of how genuine they are in everything that they do. By doing so, they've inoculated themselves against criticism, which I think is really important. Even a company like Starbucks, who has shown really positive intent over time, but has made some missteps in how they execute things, always recover because the intent was always good and people always knew that. And so people will give you grace if you've shown over time that this is how you operate and what you believe. And so I think the flip-flopping to me is more like, I'm not not sure how familiar you are with the flip-flopping that has happened with the NFL in the United States, with Colin Kaepernick kneeling and being blackballed from the NFL, and everyone saying, like, you can't kneel during the anthem. Now this year, after George Floyd, it's, oh, people can kneel, like, we got to stick together, let's donate money to racial equity. Well, what happened throughout all of that is the people who supported Kaepernick and were mad at the NFL boycotted. And the people who felt like the NFL didn't come down strongly enough or make a clear statement, this is how, they also boycotted. So they didn't please anyone. Like in their toggling back and forth, they held on to no one. And so their viewership actually did drop. Their sponsorship dropped. Like, again, they're a very lucrative organization. So we're talking, they're still in business, obviously. But my point is that in their effort to like try to toe the needle, they actually didn't connect with anyone. And so that has shown me silence is not an option. You have to be decisive.
You have to be decisive. But also then that backing yourself, and also when you're talking, it makes me think there's another principle that I train out in leadership programs actually, and that is you can't please everybody, so stop even trying. And the higher you go, and when you're representing a brand, you're not. I mean, when you see, polls of support, those polls are never 100. If you're getting numbers of 30, 40, you're doing great, right? I mean, that's because you can't please everybody all the time. Stop even trying. Start embracing authenticity. Start doing the diligence of the work. Start looking at yourself honestly. Start making decisions around this sort of stuff with those in line, and then back yourself. And then when you don't please everybody, then you can be okay with it. You can be okay with it. And as you say, though, you're right. I think that by doing that, people will give you grace. I think it also springs to mind, though, that we do make missteps along the way.
Yeah.
To err as being human, right? But I think what comes out for me there is then to call yourself out and accept and take ownership and do a genuine, authentic mea culpa at times. Because by then you are still standing potentially in good grace, depending on the size of the misstep, right? But
100%.
I
agree with that. And I mean, when you asked earlier about like what prevents the authenticity, that's another aspect of it, is fear of making a mistake, fear of getting it wrong, and fear of the backlash. And the truth is, if you're being authentic, you don't have to fear that. Because by the way, there's always backlash. Patagonia gets backlash. You think they care? No, they've quadrupled their sales in the last 10 years and sued the president. Who else can claim that? That's only from sticking to their values. It's not from flip-flopping to everybody's different wishes.